Okay, let's talk about the lookup. As you know, when you're going to do a lookup, you want to look at your data, the table array that you're going to use. And in this case, the first column is vendor name. The second column gives the vendor ID information. So when I do my lookup, I know I want to return column 2. I know I want a vertical lookup because if I were to add another vendor, it would make my list grow up and down. That means I have a vertical lookup. So I want a vertical lookup and I'm going to return column number 2. Now, I don't know if you remember, but when you have a table array, you need to name that ahead of time if you want it to be especially easy to refer to. You could call it database, you could call it vendors, anything you want. Now, I have already used the name vendors for a named range. If you'll recall, it's here. So I think what I'll do is I will select all the vendor information and I'll call it vendor info. And the table can be selected quickly by grabbing that in the name box, or I can refer to it easily by calling it vendor info. Okay, we're ready for our VLOOKUP. I'm going to have it look at what I've chosen over here and return to me column 2. So here we go, equals VLOOKUP. I'm pressing tab to lock in that choice. The lookup value is what's in B2. The table array I called vendor info. And notice that as I type, I'm looking at the prompts that I'm getting. The next prompt I'm getting is for column index number. Well, I wanted column 2. And then the last choice is if I have an exact match or approximate match to what I'm looking up. Well, college clothing connection is going to be an exact match. So I'll choose false and I'll finish my lookup. Well, I'm going to copy that down and I have some error messages wherever I have not yet chosen a vendor. If I choose a vendor, it looks fine, but I haven't chosen a vendor, so I've got error messages. Well, that's another great time to reinforce your understanding of how if error is supposed to function. What you do with an if error is you go to the top of the formula column where you're going to have it, and you go right between the equal sign and the rest of the formula, whatever it happens to be, and type in if error, and then you go to the end of your formula, comma, quote, quote, press enter. And oops, I forgot to close my parentheses. Okay, so now when I copy that down, now no more error, even if I haven't chosen a vendor over here. Notice the contents of this cell still have a nice working formula that if I do choose somebody, it's going to give me their vendor number. Well, let's just make sure it's working perfectly. Art Supply House is vendor 1146, it says. So I'll go over here, I'll look at Art Supply House, and sure enough, vendor 1146. So my lookup's working perfectly, and my if error is working perfectly.